for two reasons to be here. A, it got me out of the office, only to sit in traffic at the HRBT. But the other reason is I get to talk to you about some really amazing opportunities for your students and yourself. TCC has the saying, from here, go anywhere. Well, today we're going to go from here to NASA. So what I want to do first, though, is give you a little background about me, because one of the things about the roundtables is giving you opportunities for yourself. And I actually am sort of, I don't know how exactly to say it. I want to say mutt, but I'm not sure whether that's really the appropriate way to say it. I've been wearing several hats throughout my entire career. Maybe that's a better way to put it. So let's start out kind of at the beginning. I knew what I wanted to be when I was 6 years old. Told my mom and dad, I'm going to be an astronaut. My parents went, that's nice, Ann. And they didn't realize how very serious I was about working for NASA. So initially, I thought the best way to get to NASA was to become a scientist. So I got involved with neuroscience and genetics research. Got both my bachelor's and my master's degree in biology. And about halfway through my master's degree program, I'm in the lab studying the effects of stress on the brain. And I decided, you know what, I'm not really liking this whole being cooped up in a lab and not really interacting with people. My project wasn't necessarily going really well either, so I did a lot of soul searching. And it turned out that my master's degree program was supported by a teaching assistantship, and I was assigned to a non-majors biology course and absolutely loved it. And so that became the pivot point for me to go into education. And so over the last 15 plus years, I've taught at a variety of different levels, a variety of different subjects. I love being a student as well so much that I actually decided that I wanted to get a third degree. So I'm just about done with a PhD in higher education administration, focusing actually on teacher professional development. So this is actually the school district I taught in, Colonial Beach Public Schools. It's the Northern Neck region of Virginia. And so a little sort of kind of background. The middle picture is actually a picture of my classroom. We used to joke, the faculty, that that was one of the students who didn't pass their SOL. So at any rate, how did I go from being a teacher in the classroom like yourself to the position that I have today, which is education program specialist? Well, in 2010, while I'm actually in my PhD program as a full-time graduate assistant, I applied for an education specialist position with the Aerospace Education Services Project. It was NASA's oldest and most successful education outreach program. They ran the Astrovans. Did anybody ever see or have an Astrovan come to their school when they were a kid? Or while they were teaching? Okay. They were around for 53 years. I applied for an education specialist position at NASA's Dryden Flight Research Center, and I didn't get it. And I was a bit bummed. But the deputy director of the project followed me out, and he said, if the answer this time is no, that really means not yet. And within 6 weeks, they called me and they said, we'd like to put you in charge of an online teacher professional development community called NEON, NASA Educators Online Network. We're launching it in a couple of weeks, and we'd like you to manage it. And so that is how I got my in at NASA Education, and I was there for 3 years until a change in the federal budget issue and NASA's income stream shut us down with a lot of other NASA education programs like NASA Explorer Schools, Digital Learning Network, Ignite, I think it was Ignite, maybe it was Inspire, a couple of the resources that you may have actually used in your classroom. And so back to the drawing board, and I decided that I really wanted to be in Virginia, always wanted to be in Virginia. So I looked through community colleges, because I'd actually been a community college professor before I started my PhD, and found that Tidewater had a relatively similar to position what I had at AESP, Faculty Professional Development Manager, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the 4 original managers hired in 2014. I was assigned to the Norfolk Batten Center for Teaching Excellence, and I would still be there if it weren't for the fact that NASA came calling again. When they sunset us, they basically were like, we have a list of people we have to let go in 2013, but we would like to have them back. And I was about 7 on that list because I'd been working with NEON. I was the only community manager. I was the original one. And so planets aligned in 2015, and the Virginia Space Grant Consortium had a specialist position in, and I was fortunate enough to be hired. And so that is how I got from teacher to Space Grant. So, how many folks have heard of Space Grant or Virginia Space Grant? Okay, awesome. Okay. All right, so just a little bit briefly, we were created by an act of Congress in 1988, and there are 52 of us, one in every state, including District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. And our goal is basically to support this nation's development of our STEM workforce through a variety of means. Since 1989, Virginia Space Grant, its mission has basically been STEM education, student opportunities, scholarship and fellowship money for college students, also workforce development. This is not just for students going into STEM careers, but also teacher professional development opportunities. And end goal, enhancing research capabilities in disciplines that are of interest to the nation, not just NASA, Department of Energy, NOAA, National Oceanic Administration, et cetera, et cetera. We have funded more than 5,000 interns in private industry and at, obviously, NASA, and we've awarded more than $6 million in undergraduate scholarships and graduate fellowships. I'll talk a little bit about those towards the end of my presentation. Member institutions include 5 of the 4-year universities here in Virginia: Hampton University, College of William and Mary, ODU, UVA, and Virginia Tech. We have also partnered with the 2 NASA research centers, Wallops and Langley, and also the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia, VCCS, which includes the 23 community colleges here in the Commonwealth, and then a number of the museums, informal education places in the state, Mass Science Center, Virginia Air and Space, etc. And through programs, some of which are still ongoing, some of which have since we've partnered with over 500 partners over the course of our existence. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk to you about some of our pre-college programs. Now, 2 things to keep in mind as I go through these programs. First one is that these are free of cost to your students. One of the things that our director, Mary Sandy, has made a really big deal about is making sure that these opportunities for students, that there's not a financial hurdle that they have to get over. So that students who maybe come from not so great socioeconomic situations aren't left out of these opportunities. So that's the first thing. Second thing is most of these programs have components where we need teachers. We call them master teachers. We are always looking for teachers like yourself to help us with these programs. So as I go through these, keep in mind for your students, but maybe also for yourself. So the first program I'm going to talk to you about is BLAST, Building Leaders for Advancing Science and Technology. This is a statewide program. It gives the opportunity for rising 9th graders and 10th graders to get exposed to science, technology, engineering, and math. The way that we do this is we bring them on campus. I'll talk to you about the universities in just a second. We bring them on campus for 3 days, and we have a variety of activities for them. And the idea is we bring in students who maybe aren't necessarily the best students in your class, but they're really excited about STEM topics, and you want to spark that interest. This is one of the ways that you can do it. So since its inception in 2014, we've had 632 students participate in this program. As I mentioned, thanks to Commonwealth funding, it is free to the students, and a variety of hands-on activities. That one there is from the workshop last summer at Virginia Tech, building an earthquake-resistant model. This picture is from one of the activities that they do at UVA. So this program has been so popular that we actually had to add a 4th session this summer. So typically the applications are done online. They open late fall, around November time, and they're due February 2017. The student has to fill out a short online application. Teacher has to do a letter of recommendation, and the student has to answer a couple of questions about why they want to do this program. So this is sort of the first program in our major pipeline through high school. that we run. So after BLAST comes Space Coast. So Space Coast has sort of the premise of building on if the student participated in BLAST, or if they didn't participate in BLAST, kind of do sort of the same thing that BLAST would have done, which is to spark that interest in STEM, give them an opportunity to engage in these subjects a little bit more in depth and what maybe is possible at school. And so the program is for high school sophomores, as I said. There's an online application. As with all of these programs, these applications are online through our website, which I have on my ending slide. The student fills it out. There's usually a teacher recommendation. Now, with Space Coast Scholars, it's longer than 3 days. It runs most of the academic year. Reason being is the first half of the program is an online course, and this is where the master teachers come in. The students have to complete modules, and they have a final project. A whole course is graded, so it's like them taking an extra class in addition to what they're taking in school. And those who score well enough get invited to a summer academy. We do not call these summer camps because these kids work. We work them very hard. In the case of Space Coast Scholars, we invite them up to NASA Wallops, up on the eastern shore for a week. We put them in teams, and so there's 40 students per week-long session. They get a couple of different tasks. Wallops likes to have the students design a research mission based around one of their launch platforms, which I have listed there. They develop this mission concept, and then at the end of the week, we have them get in a panel discussion in front of NASA scientists and engineers up at Wallops, and they give presentations. And then they also do an engineering design challenge. It's a lot of work in 1 week, but the students, all of them, are very, very excited and say it's worth it. So that is for our sophomores. Most of them want to go on to the next program, which is VAST, Virginia Aerospace Science and Technology Scholars. This works much the same way as Space Coast. There's an online component that runs during the academic year. Our online course usually starts in November, so the application deadline is a little bit earlier in November than it is for Space Coast. This year's iteration ended in April. This particular course had 8 learning modules, also had to produce a final project. This one was based on human exploration to Mars, and once again, all graded by master teachers, some of whom are very similar to you. They work in some of the school districts here in the Hampton Roads area.
I did it once.
Okay, so you have then, same thing is once the students are graded by the teachers, those who are the highest achievers get selected for the week-long summer academy, this time at NASA Langley Research Center. Same idea, 1 week, we divide them up into teams. The goal here is to design a human mission to Mars. And they are divided into 5 teams, mostly based on their choice, first choice or second choice. And they have to work within the team, and then at the end of the week, they have to come together to put a coherent human mission to Mars. And just as with Space Coast, we put them in front of a panel discussion in front of actual NASA scientists, engineers, who pepper them with questions during that 2-hour presentation. Okay, those programs have been around for a number of years. This one is launching as of this academic year. It's the Virginia Earth System Science Scholars. So whereas the other programs tend to focus more on engineering and technology, this one focuses on earth science, environmental science, those type of things. So it's brand new as of this year. It's a partnership not only with Langley, but Thomas Nelson Community College and Hampton's Atmospheric and Planetary Science Department. And basically, it is very similar to VAST, but it's Earth Systems related. So same idea, there was an online course this past academic year. Those students who scored successfully, or I should say in the highest tiers, are going to be invited to summer academies at Langley and get immersed in project, which, because it's brand new, I don't know that much about it. The unique thing with VAST and VEST, the students are able to get dual enrollment credit. So both with FAST and with VEST. This is through Thomas Nelson Community College. The cost of this is underwritten by Space Grant, so that the student doesn't necessarily have a huge financial burden, because remember, we want to try and keep these programs as accessible as possible. So if they do the online portion, they get 3 dual enrollment credits. If they then are invited to the summer academy and finish it, they get an additional opportunity for a credit per year. So another opportunity has just come along for master teachers, and I'm not sure exactly when the cycle opens for master teachers. It's usually late summer, early fall, just as you're getting ready to start your school year. So if this sounds like something you're interested in participating in, I've got all sorts of flyers and materials on these programs that I've brought with me. Please take some. That means less for me to take home. So, but anyway, I have contact people that you can contact if you're interested in being master teachers for these programs. And this is just an overview of the modules for Earth System Science. Okay, now, I think most of you are junior high or high school educators. Okay, do I have any adjunct community college professors? I have one. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is, in the time that I have, about 5 minutes? Okay. Just quickly run through a couple of community college programs, because I know your students, some of them may be going straight onto a 4-year university, some of them may be going to community college. So these are some tools to put in your toolbox. I brought printed material for this as well, that you can make your students aware of, because if they know about these things, when they get to, whether it's Tidewater, Thomas Nelson, a particular community college, there's opportunities for them via Space Grant. This program is new to us as of this year. I'm actually the project coordinator for Space Grant for this one. This is the NASA Community College Aerospace Scholars Program. It's modeled very similarly to the pre-college programs I just talked to you about. There's an online portion and then a residential or a workshop at a NASA center. This is actually a national program. It's run through JSC. And it's run twice a year, fall semester and spring semester. Our fall application is coming up June 1st, but the website is there, so if you want to make your students aware of this, that's great. And the idea of this is to encourage those students going to a community college to either finish their 2-year degree and go into a STEM-related field, or transfer to a 4-year university and complete a bachelor's degree. And this program, basically, there's the online portion. It's rated by instructional assistants out at JSC, so I apologize there's not an opportunity to get involved with this one in a master teacher role. Based on their performance, they then, if they earn above a certain percentage, they then get an invite to a 4-day workshop at a NASA center. This spring, there's 7 of the 10 NASA centers across the country running a workshop. We're doing it for the first time, actually this weekend. And we take them to tours, we have them talk to NASA scientists and engineers, and we have them run a robotics competition with the Lego Mindstorm robots. So I know some of the people were talking about, they have robotics clubs at their school. This may be something you want to put in front of your students for them to keep in mind if they're going to community college. We also have a scholarship program for them. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but it's basically a non-renewable $2,000 scholarship to underwrite their cost of attending a community college. It's good at any of the 23 BCCS institutions. Online application, and there's, unfortunately, I just have to skip through this. And last thing, just to make aware for community college students, is internships. So I don't necessarily, well, let me rephrase that. Students who want to go into STEM fields and want to get some experience, NASA and Space Grant has internship opportunities. This is the general, all of NASA internship program. And then we have, Virginia Space Grant has a internship program for the Commonwealth. The difference between the NASA one and this one is the NASA one, obviously, is if they want to get in the door at NASA to do an internship at a NASA center. CSIP, the Commonwealth STEM Industry Internship Program, places students and interns with private industry here in the Commonwealth. There are some of the requirements. I brought flyers for this as well. And I'll just have to just skip through. This is one of our success stories. She's at actually Virginia Commonwealth University. Yeah. And there's our contact info on our website. Along the left side bar, links to all of our programs, including ones I didn't even talk about today, and our phone number, that's the main line. So if you have questions about programs, that would be who you would contact. I also have some fun stuff for the classroom, NASA stickers, and stuff like that. So please, please, please help yourself. Thank you very much.